What's up, everyone, and welcome to the show. My name is Nathan Richards, and this is my show Reason With Me. And today we're going to be looking at an article that details how people who hold PhDs in this country are actually the most vaccine hesitant, even more hesitant than people who don't have college degrees. So those are really interesting articles, and we'll get to that in a second. But first of all, I wanted to show you guys my new shirt. I got it off my own merch store. It's my William James shirt. It says pessimism leads to weakness. Optimism leads to power. We're going to put the link in the description. We got a lot of really cool philosophical shirts and stuff. So go get yourself one. Go get somebody you know one. Make sure to like and subscribe. With that being said, let's look at some of these articles real quick and see what we can find out. So the first article we're going to look at is on Zero Hedge, and it's titled, Study Finds the Most Highly Educated Americans Are Also the Most Vaccine Hesitant. And this was a study that was done by Carnegie Mellon University and the University of Pittsburgh. Scroll down a little bit. The article says, it finds that the association between hesitancy and education level follows a U-shaped curve, with the highest hesitancy among those least and most educated. People with a master's degree had the least hesitancy, and the highest hesitancy was among those holding a PhD. So people who have a PhD in this survey actually admitted that they're more hesitant to get the vaccine than even somebody who didn't graduate college. And if we go to Carnegie, this is Carnegie Mellon University's website, and this is, the little article that they published to announce, the study. And these are the two ladies here who did the study. And what's really interesting about their interpretation of it is they didn't focus on the educational aspect of it very much, which is kind of weird. They really wanted to hone in on the political and racial aspect of their study because, the study was wide ranging. It covered race, it covered political beliefs, covered education. It probably even covered gender and sex. I'm pretty sure it did, actually. So it covered a lot of things, but what you can see is that a lot of what they focus on in their article is about race, right? So right here it says vaccine hesitancy decreased across virtually all racial groups. Black people and Pacific Islanders had the largest decreases, joining Hispanics and Asians at having lower vaccine hesitancy than white people in May. Those from counties with higher Trump support in the 2020 presidential election showed higher hesitancy, and the difference in hesitancy between areas with high and low Trump support grew over the period studied. This finding really highlights the politicization of public health recommendations, said King. So, first of all, that's just a ridiculous assertion because Donald Trump got the vaccine. Okay? And so did his wife, and I don't know if his kids did, but I know he did. And I know he didn't tell a single person not to go out and get the vaccine. He never once said that. In fact, he was bragging about the freaking vaccine all of 2019. Or all of 2020, I mean. He was, we're going to have the best vaccine, blah, blah, blah. You should take the vaccine. And it was Kamala Harris and Joe Biden who were saying, I'm not taking the freaking vaccine. So if any group of people are following their quote-unquote president when it comes to vaccine hesitancy, it would be Democrats, because only the Democratic president came out and said that he wouldn't take the vaccine. Donald Trump took the vaccine. This has nothing to do with Donald Trump, and it's kind of sad that these two women are being so unprofessional about the study. By pointing out by making it about race and making it about Trump support and stuff, Instead of, focusing, they really gloss over hesitancy held constant in the most educated group, those with a PhD. By May, PhDs were the most hesitant group. And that's about all you hear about it in their rendition of the findings. But racial disparities, race, age, younger black people, younger white people. The researchers hope that their detailed analysis, which also includes a review of reasons for hesitancy by racial group, will help policymakers identify vaccine-resistant pockets to ensure the country reaches herd immunity. Why don't you start with the doctor's offices, where the PhDs are? What are you going to do? Go kick down doors in the hood? Try to find them black folk that don't want to get the vaccine? What are you going to do? Go out to the country and get them rednecks that don't want to get the vaccine? Why aren't the PhDs wanting to take the vaccine? And after all, they are the most hesitant. So why is it a race thing now? Why is it a political thing now? So let's look. This is actually where they published the results. This is really boring stuff to look at. I looked at it all. It's 28 pages. But here it is. This is it. You're looking at it, right? So author names and affiliations: Wendy King, Max Rubenstein, Alex Reinhart, Robin Mejia. I wonder why it was only the two females' pictures here on the website and neither one of the men's pictures, Alex and Max, assuming Alex is a man. Max almost definitely is. But I wonder why it's just the two women's photos on that website. Oh, I guess it could be... No. Because Wendy King is from the University of Pittsburgh. Okay, so anyways, it's all describing it and stuff. I already went through all of it. It's just boring. You don't really have to read through all of it because we're focusing on the part that they don't want to focus on, right? And InfoWars actually did a really good graph that kind of puts everything in perspective. So at this first dot here, you have high school educated or, less. Then you get to some college. Then you get to a bachelor's degree. Then you get to a master's degree. And that's where it plateaus. After that, professionals, it starts going back up, and PhDs, it starts going back up. Before I get into my explanation of everything, I just wanted to point out that on the Carnegie website, this article was written by Kirsten Hearing, and in the article, she capitalizes every single race except white. And she did it multiple times. Here you go. Black people, white people. I know that's kind of the trendy thing to do right now, but it's just ridiculous, and it really takes away from the credit that this study should get, all because she wanted to inject her little Marxist politics into it. And this is her right here. Kirsten, we see you. We see you, Kirsten Hearing. And I gotta be honest, if I was using the word white to describe her, I would put white in all caps because that is a big woman. Kirsten, you might want to lose some weight or COVID's gonna get you. We know who COVID comes after, and it's people like you. Might want to eat a few salads. Okay, now let's get to my explanation. So I've been asking myself all day, why is that? And I'm going to teach you a little trick about meditation. When you want to meditate, just focus on one thought, one question, until you get a satisfactory answer. And that's a really good way to meditate. But just sit there, be silent, be still. Try not to think about it. Reject stupid thoughts and let better thoughts come back to you. But with that being said, I finally got an answer that I thought was satisfactory. I'm going to tell you what that is in a second, but let me explain to you a little bit how I got to my answer. So, I'm not college educated. I mean, a little bit. I went to college for a little bit. I didn't graduate high school. I went to vocational school and I got my GED, and I was in a boys' home when I did all that because I was running in gangs. So I am kind of like on that side that's like high school, some college educated, but I'm also really intellectual. When I was going to school, I always had the highest grades. I always had the highest IQ. I always had the highest GPA. I was really freaking smart. And when I was in school, in my early life, there were only two groups of people that I could hang out with, that I felt comfortable with. For some reason, it was the gangsters and it was the nerds, right? I couldn't fit in with the jocks. I couldn't fit in with the yuppies or the preppies or any of those generic ass people. The only two groups of people that I could hang out with, and I'm talking like the super nerds. I could hang out with the super nerds that were playing Magic the Gathering, getting straight A's and all that stuff, or I could hang out with the gangsters who were selling drugs, going to jail, beating everyone up. That was just my life. Okay, so I almost feel like I'm kind of a bridge between the two, and I find it really peculiar that the two groups that are the furthest apart are actually the closest together in their views. But I'm going to tell you why. This is my analogy. You got one group of people who are street smart. That's the high school educated. Because as soon as they become adults, they get thrown to the wolves. They start meeting hustlers and swindlers. They're not in that protective bubble of the college for 4 years or 8 years where their feelings matter and there's safe spaces everywhere, and if somebody insults you, they can get thrown out of the college and all that kind of ridiculous stuff. They're out there competing, and they're out there learning how to deal in the real world at a very young age. For me, it was even younger because the first time I ran away from home, I was like 15 or 16. Okay. And I was already hanging out with drug dealers. I was already hanging out with people who would rip you off for everything you freaking had. And I learned how to spot these people at a very young age. And then you have the book smarts people who are really good at interpreting data. And they're really good at coming to their own conclusions. They are good at avoiding being gaslighted and manipulated because they know how to do their own research. They're smart enough to do it. They can do it in an amount of time, in a short amount of time, so it doesn't take up too much of their time, and they can do it effectively. And nobody can convince them otherwise. Nobody can convince them that they're crazy for not believing their point of view when these people are looking at the data and making their own decisions for themselves. You're not going to be able to gaslight them. So you have street smart and book smart. And this is my analogy. My analogy is that the street smart people, they're smart enough to know a snake oil salesman when they see one. The PhD people, they're smart enough to know snake oil when they see it. Okay, that's what it is. I don't think these people are on the same level because they believe the same things or they look at the world in the same way. I think it's literally the analogy I just came up with. That PhDs, book smart people are smart enough to see snake oil when they see it. And street smart people are smart enough to know a snake oil salesman when they see one. That's my thoughts on this. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the merch store. The link is in the description. And I'm also going to link to a couple of the articles in the description. Once again, thank you for joining me. Hope to see you again soon.